That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Dadgummit. Let's try this again. Episode number 67 of the Destructive Faith Podcast, where we're having honest and necessary conversations that you might not be having at your local Sunday morning service. I'm your host, Tech, along with
Jay Blunt
and
Fred Green.
And we got a special guest today, Pastor Sheun Ogunsunlade.
What's good?
Sheun, are you used to people calling you Pastor Sheun yet?
I mean, it is what it is. My brother's still a little weird, but I'm okay.
Do you feel like what if people call you Pastor Sheun and one person just says Sheun? Do you just look at that dude like you ain't gonna acknowledge my title?
No. I would prefer you just call me my name. Yeah, but
Pastor Sheun.
You call everybody Pastor. I've been listening to the podcast, so
exactly.
Sheun is one of the 13. How's everybody going? Pastor Blunt, let's switch it up. Maybe it'll work. How's your week?
My week's been good. No problems. I can't even remember this week, honestly. That's like the most difficult question every week for the last few months. Is how was my week? I was like, did I feel like I've been sitting here for the last few weeks. But everything's good, no problems. I got a chance to meet up with my church family on Wednesday, so that was something new and different. Yeah, we did a social distancing meetup.
I'm about to call the police. I know y'all were social distance.
We actually were. We went live on Facebook too, so it was cool. It was good to see everybody, or some of the crew.
Amen.
That's
Pastor Sheun. Well, Pastor Sheun, how's your day going? How's your week?
You didn't sound too interested, but
I meant Fred said Sheun, and I was like, you know what? Freak it. Let's just go with it.
It's been cool. I agree with Jason. They're all blending together, so I kept saying May, and I was like May 5th, May, and I'm like, oh no, it's June, bro. So I've been trying to catch up with where we are in reality. I am looking for a new job, so I had like a bunch of interviews this week for the same position, talking to a bunch of people for the same job. So we'll see if I get that one or what happens. But been doing that, and then just trying to monitor my influx of just being on social media and hopping in people's comments and fighting with people, and I realized I need to stop, but it's been difficult to stop. So I've been trying to turn my phone off, but not succeeding. But
Pastor Pastor Green.
Yeah, my week was actually
thank you, Pastor.
Pastor Green.
My week was good overall. Just kind of like what Sheun was saying, just trying to monitor the social media stuff, but also just been busy trying to get my outlet out during this time. So it's been an emotional but yet productive week.
Amen.
How about you, boss?
Bro, my week has been good. It's been productive. I had a great conversation with Pastor yesterday for the podcast that we'll be putting out soon, maybe about in a week or so. And then got some conversations coming up that I'm excited about. I'm trying. A couple weeks ago, some people asked me just how I was doing with everything going on. I couldn't really express it. But one of the things I kept saying, what I felt, is that I'm just trying to figure out the best way to express the way that I feel. And so these conversations, for me, are kind of like the best way to express that. After this podcast, I'm going to be part of it's not really a podcast, but they do a live thing talking about how do you do change or inspire change through this time with what you have. And I think like the podcast has been a great platform to be able to do that and to be able to kind of like express yourself. So that's what I'm trying to do to stay to, not bottle everything up. And so it's been good, been blessed, been productive.
That's good.
But it's good. So We don't really have a hot. Okay, this isn't really a hot take. Normally we do hot takes before we get into the main topic, but let's do this. What? I'm trying to figure out what we can call this. Let's call it. Let's talk about it. This may change. What happened on Black Tuesday? Y'all made me black out my thing, and then you told me not to black it out. I black out Instagram all the time because I don't be on it like that. But there was so much confusion. Then it was like, man, they just trying to get you to shut up. They're like, too late. I already did shut up. And so it's like, somebody that messed up Black Tuesday. Yeah. And then I felt like this is like, I don't know. It's like, bro, come on, man. Put your shoes on. Get your show right. And then you just trip up. I'm like, shoot. But I don't know what happened on Black Tuesday.
You posted your black squares, didn't you?
I did, but I didn't even know it was Black Tuesday. I'm a follower. I get it. I'm admit it. I woke up, Instagram was black. I was like, hey, that's what's up, black. And then 2 hours later, it was like, man, why y'all putting black squares up? And I was like, huh?
I didn't see that. Oh, for real?
Yeah. See,
this is all new information for me. I didn't know people had a problem with it.
So apparently, if you're black, you wasn't supposed to put up no black square.
Oh,
Black Tuesday was for the white people to be quiet. Is that true?
No,
that's what I'm saying.
True.
You see how I'm confused?
That wasn't true though.
The water really came out.
I'm confused.
The only thing I heard was the hashtag. So not to use.
I heard that.
Matter just because they were saying we're still trying to get out information and they don't want all the black squares with the Black Lives Matter hashtag. So to make sure you take that hashtag off. That's the only thing I heard, but I didn't even know black people weren't supposed to put it up. It was supposed to be like this solidarity. It's like showing you support the cause, you know? Yeah.
But outside of that, it was also supposed to be a time where you learn about how to like donate, where you can donate to educate yourself on what to do or how to make an impact. And yeah, it was supposed to be about that, not just not posting at all. I think that's where the confusion came on. It was like two people or pick the same day to do something or something. But this is what happened when you don't plan. We just say, you know what, tomorrow we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And then you just try to, when you don't plan and prepare, this is what happens. So, yeah. It's all good. We're over it. It's Thursday now. Black Thursday.
Black Thursday. I was confused. I was like,
they didn't want people not posting stuff, not being aware. Kind of like, I heard rumors about them trying to shut down the internet for like 3 days, social media for like 3 days.
Really?
There was rumors going around.
Everybody put black squares up.
No, well, yeah, it was kind of work. Well, yeah, we kind of need it.
As much as Black Twitter is on Twitter, Black Twitter need a Twitter page.
Their own Twitter.
Yes, just like this is the Black Twitter page. This is where you get all the information. I was confused. I woke up, everything was black. I was like, okay, that's cool. I mean, I don't be posting like that anyway. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's so. Jason, next time you and your friends organize a protest, get it together, okay? Because you're making us look bad. The whole world is watching.
We're trying to get it together.
Trying to get it together. Crazy time in our nation. Last week, we kind of talked about everything that's going on. Again, I said this before, I'll say it again on this time. But I think I really have been meditating on what it is that we say and express every episode, where we're trying to have honest and necessary conversations that may not be being had at your local Sunday morning service. I think we put too much pressure or responsibility on a sermon to do everything. And so I think there needs to be platforms like these and other platforms to kind of have discussions. And so that's one of the things that I'm trying to challenge myself on, is to have more discussions with people who may view things differently or in a different way than I do, even if I am set on it. Like I plan on we're working on a conversation with a soldier about like the flag and what it means to kneeling. I don't think there's anything in that conversation that will inspire me to like be like people should not kneel. I just don't think it's a issue. I actually think a lot other things about it. But at least I can get a better understanding, better understand people's perspective. They can better understand mine. I think people I don't know who I said this. Free Eric. I don't know. I'm about to be like
He's on the picket line.
I was about to say something, but we're live. You made me forget what I was going to say. Oh, I think
You're not free. That's why you can't say nothing.
I know I'm not free. I'm chained to that red box that says live. I do this with movies. Like if there's a movie that comes out and I don't know about it, I'll be like, all right, let me see what Twitter says about the movie. I just want to get a baseline of whether or not I can expect if this movie is good. I think sometimes we do that with information. And we do that depending on if you're right wing, left wing. We kind of get a consensus of what is the thing and kind of float that way. I think one of the things that we need to get better at is having conversations. So that's one of the things that you're trying to do today. So our brother, Pastor Sheun, is here. He's another brother out here doing the work. Amen?
Amen.
And so part of doing the work, his work is baking cupcakes. I don't think that we should. So now, Sheun, can you explain what it is that you plan on doing and your viewpoints and what got us here? That's a vague introduction.
Yeah, so I mean, I think some of it too is, my own personal expressions versus a church corporate wide thing. And I can definitely talk about some things we want to do with the church. But I mean, I feel everybody. I feel the anger. I feel the frustration. I feel the urge to just let out rage. You know what I'm saying? And I've been seeing everything going on with the protests. And I've really been scrolling through social media and you're seeing everybody with viewpoints. So I think for me, the goal is to process what it means to be Christian, Black, and mix all of that together and what should come out of it. And in particular, one thing for me is not just being up in arms and being angry, but what is a solution that comes from it. So I'm all for critical thinking, for pushing it beyond just what you see scrolling down your feed. And for one thing for me that came up is like, man, there's an issue between Black communities and our police departments. There's an issue with just what we saw with George Floyd. It shouldn't be so that we see a white officer on camera with his knee on it. And I've seen multiple things. White officers pull up, they shoot somebody, right? It's like there's this, it's continuous, it's happening, right? So we can just be angry about it and continue to be angry, which I think is justifiable, but what's the solution? So for me, it was a thought of like, since NWA and everybody, the whole thing is F the police, F12, man, I ain't never gonna stand for no cop. It's on site with the cops. We should fight back. And I agree. I was sitting there watching the George Floyd thing. Like, if I was there, would I have bum rushed the cops?
That's the only thing I could think about doing.
There's a lot inside of me that's like, oh yeah, we just gonna go out today. But I think the thing that really pushed back was saying, I don't believe even the Christian Black response should be F the police. I really believe the opposite of that in reading certain verses. We ain't gonna start quoting Pharisee verses right now, Eric, are we?
Go ahead, my brother, go ahead.
Okay. In Matthew chapter 5 and Romans 12, but it talks about what sets the Christian apart from the world is not that you love those who are friends to you, but that you love your enemies. And I feel like most of us don't really have enemies. But if you think about it, it's like, man, when the culture and popular norms is saying F the police, what should be the church's response? So I think for me, that's why it was like, oh, no, like we need to pray for them. We need to bless them. We need to consider ways to do that. And for me, it's really saying, okay, can I extend and build a relationship. We're in Montgomery County here in Silver Spring with Montgomery County Police Department and say, if you humanize who I am, will that cause you to not be so quick to kill or shoot people that look like me? Can I speak to some of the issues that you're going through? Can we talk about budgeting and what that looks like in terms of police forces being militarized, or what it looks like in terms of just really making a difference and taking actionable steps versus just sitting back and saying F the police. And off soapbox I go.
And so you're going to, and also bring them cupcakes.
Not bring them cupcakes, but if we're supposed to love someone, what does love look like?
Well, how what's your plan? What is that solution or part of it that you?
So part of our solution is to plan a prayer rally at the police department this weekend. And with that as well, we want to say, hey, we want to honor or love tangibly on officers. And we do think food is one way to do that. So we're thinking of doing like Chick-fil-A gift cards, or giving them gift cards to say something, and attaching that as well to a letter to say, hey, this is why we're here. This is what we feel. But we also feel like, hey, if there are officers who are knocking it out in the community and saying like they are trying to make a difference, be a part of the difference, or even if they're not, just saying, hey, here is something we are offering to you guys to say, no, God bless you, we love you, but also we want justice, and here are some things, and what can we do to work together to build towards that? So I do think giving them something is not outside of the realm of what's acceptable or good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and I think that's good. I think that's true. I don't have an issue with the police. Like, okay, of course, obviously not after the police, but I think there's, like the scripture also says, don't let your good be evil be spoken to your good. I'm probably murdering that because I'm in my flesh, but I think that sometimes as believers, we react and not look at the picture. For me, if I'm out there protesting because police officers, there's a issue in the justice system, and the police officers are the ones that execute that. And I'm protesting because a police officer has murdered someone, and I'm out there protesting, and you, the church, traditionally, because you are also attached to a body. So your friends, the church, traditionally have never spoken up for me, traditionally have never come to my aid. And then I look across the street and I see you having a picnic with the church. In the words of the prophet, Lauryn Hill, you might win some, but you just lost one. I'm like, ask you, because it's like, I think we have to have, I think Christianity, and maybe this is wrong, and this is why I want to have this conversation. I think Christians sometimes put more obligation on the oppressed than we do oppressors. It's like I know you are, and not like, I think oppress is becoming a very overused word, but for like, just in general, whether it's anyway, I think as Christians, we put the responsibility like, no, remember you got to forgive. No, remember you got to love your enemies, which you do, but we have to also be able to take a strong stance against oppression. And it's and it's not with One Shot. I think One Shot is family. They out there doing the work. My issues with the church as a whole, all of us as believers, I feel like we don't do that. Like, the only way we can think of doing stuff is like, I mean, passive may be a bad word, but like, oh, okay, they got donuts now. What's going to stop that from? What's going to stop something happening from next year? And if I'm a protester, I also begin. You've also alienated yourself from me. But that's just my thoughts.
Cool. All right, I'll hop in there. Double Dutch.
Double Dutch.
Are you frozen, Sheun?
I don't think so. Am I?
Okay, there you go. Nah,
Yeah.
you're not.
You
You
just
good.
you got this big stupid look on your side.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but I just wasn't sure. It was like,
Listening intently, waiting for Jason to.
no, you good. Nah, so that's dope. Congratulations, and I salute you, Sheun, for trying to find a solution or answer, or it's a step. It might not be. It's definitely not the end all. It's not gonna fix everything, but it's a step. And I can appreciate it for what it is. Um, and I don't know. I was listening to you. Saying like F the police, or like that's the narrative that a lot of people are. And I'm not sure that's definitely not how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are a lot of good police out there. And I know that there are some bad police too. Just like, so here's the thing. Like, and one thing I'm praying for, and that our church is praying for, is that God give us solutions. Protests are cool, and they are what they are, and they help. But we need
Yes.
some insight on how to make long lasting changes. So I'm praying that God gives that to the body as a whole, so that we can work together to make some long lasting changes for our children, for ourselves, for everyone. But is there, all right, so let me see how I could work this. It's like, we know that all police aren't bad. We know that, right? And I think the large majority of us realize that. So I don't think we have an issue with police in general. However, I think that maybe a large majority, or a large part of the police, they see all Black people the same, as a threat. And even Black police, I don't think it's about, I think that there's a narrative that the media definitely paints Black people as, they show us, we see the differences in the looters.
Yeah.
There was this one white lady who was looting, and it was like, oh, I hope I think she might be an employee. She had the benefit of they get the benefit of the doubt. So we see it in the arrests that are being made. One person is accused of forgery, and another person kills 9 people. So I think that even in what you're doing, you're trying to prove your humanity. You know what I mean? Like, this is odd. Like we're trying to play nice still. You see what I'm saying?
It is, what's the alternative?
I don't know. I'm not saying that again. I don't know, but the line is. It just seems like we always, as African Americans, we've always done things to try to appease the other side, to try to prove our humanity, to try to prove that we're either just like them or equal them. Like we're still in this mode of like just trying to please people for and I get it, I understand it, but it just makes me think like what is the alternative? And that's kind of the question you're asking, is the question I'm asking myself. How can we not keep trying to, it's like, when you're trying to rescue a pit bull, they always bring in hamburgers, like here's a little food, I'm a nice person, I'm trying to save you. Like, I don't know, but I just think it's like we're still doing that line of thinking, even in that. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, I think.
But does what I'm saying make sense at all?
No, I feel you. I hear you. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I think there. It makes me. There's so much in culture, things that I've been watching that paint Christianity And kind of what Eric was saying, we started like passive, pansy, Uncle Tommy, like you always just and I'm like, I do want to resist that, but I also don't think it's just like, well, I'm oppressed, so if we're gonna fix this, you better come to me, and I don't think that either.
Oh, go ahead, Zach.
No, go ahead, Pastor Green.
No, I was going to say, I think both can exist, in my personal opinion. I think kind of like what we talked about last week about, like, God has given everybody different gifts, and I think sometimes, and this is my personal opinion, I think I get what you were saying, Ted, because I 100% agree with it. The reason why it's important for the church to take such a strong stance right now on racism is because in history, it hasn't been a strong stance. And nobody has stood for the cause. So I get that, but I think there is multiple ways to do it. The body, I think about that scripture where it says that, the body has many different members. Not everybody it's the same part. And I think God gives certain Christians gifts that will work and flourish with the protest and organizing and want to, whatever, like the organizational part. Then there's gifts where, to take a stand verbally or whatever. But then there's also gifts of compassion, gifts of, maybe not gifts of compassion, but someone who has that ability to really sit with someone and to acts of service. That's their gift. They use that in the church. Well, this could be used here. This is still part of ministry. And I think all of it works together as a whole. And in my personal opinion, I think sometimes we look at our giftings and our strengths and we react on that. And then we look at someone else and their giftings and their strengths and we criticize it and like, oh, well, you're not really doing it. But I think, I think if the goal is the same, the way it may look different. And I think it all could work together. But I think, to take your point, as a whole, as a church, I think it is important for everybody can't be servants. I put it that way. There has to be somebody within the body protesting. There has to be somebody, and I think I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I think that is the issue to where the message of the church was more so of everybody was saying turn the cheek and everybody was this and nobody was protesting. Nobody was saying justice and standing for this and standing for that. But I think as long as there is a strong push for that and standing for injustices and standing, like calling like that's wrong, what's wrong, and actually saying it and being vocal about it and being aggressive, being strong with it. I think it kind of balances it out because I think there is a place exactly what Sheun is saying about the power of love, the power of service. I think there's something that is God as well. There's God is a multifaceted God. Like God, we've seen God do justice. You did this. We've seen the God of justice, but we also see the God of mercy and compassion. Like God is multifaceted. And I think we as the church, I don't know if we reflect that a lot of times. It's always like a one-sided, like God is, this, I think we don't reflect the multi-side of God, and it all works beautifully together. And I think that's why he gave us all different gifts. He didn't give us the same gifts. He didn't give us the same personality. He didn't give us this. He gave us different things to function in a way. But again, I think it's important for it not to lean to one side.
Yeah, no, I agree. But, and I agree 100%. No, but, and I think the idea of doing that is good. Like, I'm not saying that Sheun or anybody should not do it. But what triggered me personally, because I mean, I guess it does have to be done. We all are out here, different parts, trying to achieve the same goal. But what triggered me is just as a church, it seems to be that's the only thing we can think of. Is like hold this L, and that's a big part of the Christian walk. And even as black people, like, it's this post. I mean, you guys probably seen it, and they were like, "America's lucky that black people don't only want equality and not revenge." And as much as African Americans are implicitly villainized in many Americans' eyes, we have to be the most forgiving, the most second chance giving, the most God told me to love my neighbor people on earth. This is like, this is from generation to generation. I just feel like as the church, I feel like this, like you think about like homosexuality, or you think of women's rights, right? When homosexuals were getting kicked out, I mean, when we said this before, when homosexuals were getting kicked out for being gay, when their parents were like, when they were homeless, when they were having issues, church didn't have anything to say. No. But then when some homosexuals felt like there was no one to speak up for them, and they started to kind of like take up for themselves in ways that I disagree with. But when they were suffering, I was silent. And women traditionally, the church has been kind of trash to women. We ain't say nothing. Now, women walk out with their boobs out, like, hey, free women, here we go. I may say, no, you can't do that. But where was that same energy? Where was that same energy when they were going through? It's like we only step up to control people's reaction to oppression, but we're not there before. We're not there when they are experiencing this turmoil. We have the kids in the cages. It's crazy to me that the church as a whole has not made a bigger deal about that. And it is out of fear that it'll be political. If those children come back and God forbid turn into some, I don't know, Spanish Al Qaeda, maybe this is get us blocked.
Check. You need to brave it.
I'm just saying, if they turn into something, don't try to now be like, hey guys, love your enemies, or try to be like, hey guys, that's not the way. Where were you? Yeah. Where were you when I was oppressed? We talked about like the Good Samaritan. Jesus mentioned the Good Samaritan. It's the same thing. The church traditionally has walked past people when they are suffering. When that person finally gets fed up and decides to defend themselves, and it begins to make the church uncomfortable with the way they defended themselves, then the church wants to turn around and say, whoa, buddy, don't do that. It's like, no, shut up.
What did all these?
That's not church voice.
You made so many sound bites on this one dialogue.
I'm sorry.
I think two quick things. I feel like the misunderstanding is that saying love your enemy is a passive response, or that it does not, that saying love your enemy does not allow you to couple that with saying you did something wrong and we need justice. Mm-hmm. And I disagree with that, because I'm saying, for me, the strategic option is to say, if I am saying my God is a God of justice and we're seeking justice, we can go in the streets and scream justice, which I agree should happen if that's where you're so led. Or I can build a relationship with someone who I can talk to directly and explicitly about justice, who is involved in the problem, and bridge the gap between us. So I'm talking to an audience. I think that's my issue. Is like, oh, are we going to the police department to say you did nothing wrong? God bless you. He loves you. No, it's like, yes, God bless you. He loves you. There's a problem. We want to build with you on how we can work towards a solution in our community. Saying, hey, do you guys do community service? Do you guys have some sort of training to understand who you're policing and what this looks like? But now, do you at least know my face enough that I have a voice with you in the community to create what justice looks like versus just getting angry and posting that somewhere, or even just going on the street? It's like, where's the strategy behind that?
Yeah,
exactly. And I wanted to take a quick pivot just to toss this in the hopper. It was something that came up. It was an Instagram battle going on with someone I knew, right? And I don't know how to pose the question other than this. It's like, are you more Christian or more Black? Like, which identity comes first when you think about it? Or do they both work together? Like, if you guys had to think about your own personal lives, do you filter it through the lens of being Black first, Christian first, or equally or not? Or what does that, how does that work?
Permission to be self-righteous.
It's your show, buddy.
It's not. I feel like I feel like, and I think some people feel like Black people are just complaining about their conditions. Like one of the responses to Colin Kaepernick was like, "You're a football player. You have all this money. How are you oppressed?" The point isn't me. The point is injustice is an injustice. So even in this conversation, I'm and maybe I'm being self-righteous. I feel like I'm trying to come as an ambassador, an interceder, the hands and feet of the Lord Jesus Christ, not for my own comfort and good, but to say, yo, this is wrong. This is wrong, and I'm speaking up because what happens is, I don't say anything, and then Farrakhan comes, and he got a way of just making you want to fight somebody. And I just feel like more Christians need to speak up and say so, to be self-righteous. I'm trying to come at it from a point of a Christian, not trying to think of me. If this, again, I'm not an immigrant, but the way we treat immigrants in this country is trash, and the church needs to say something about it. I feel like.
You want to hop in there, Fred?
I didn't have anything at that point to say. I mean, I was. Go ahead. Okay, Jason just shut it down.
Put you on the spot.
He just shut it down. Jason was just like, "All right, well then shut up."
Okay. No, I don't want to put you on the spot. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, I'm just messing. But I think I would say this because I was just reflecting on what Tech said and what Sheun just said, and I think just to piggyback off of what Sheun was saying, I think that is. Again, I think you guys are both, and I think we all are saying the same thing. I think too much, like, for example, and I'm not saying that you're saying this, Tech, but what I hear Sheun saying is more so of like, I'm not negating justice. I am not ignoring this. I'm not, and it's, I think two could hold, like, you could do both. You could cry for justice and still love your neighbor, your enemy.
What and this is not necessarily about Sheun, but to me is what it represents, and I'm really close. What is we only so far we've only came up with the baking cupcakes part. So I got it's not negating justice. What's the part that's not negating justice? So I'm just saying in Christianity.
He said building an actual relationship with the police department
through cupcakes
through whatever means, like through whatever means possible. But like, who polices us here where I am? I don't know. They don't know me. Do you know who your local lieutenant is? Any of that stuff? You know what I'm saying?
John Bob.
Billy Bob Thornton. What you mean? So I would say I'm trying to, I think where our people fall short is with strategic action. It's like anger, emotion, but then what? It's like, let's come up with strategic action to be implemented and move towards. And I agree with what Jason was saying. Like, I don't have all the answers. I think we are all coming up with them, right? But is there a step I can take?
Yeah.
And what steps are we taking?
Let me hop in right there. So, well, actually, we cut Fred off. Let me not hop in.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Let's
Fred.
give Fred back his, because he's walking the line tonight.
No, it's not about
saw that red line.
Everybody's right, okay? You're
You
right
get a
in this
cupcake.
square.
You get a cupcake.
You're right
You
in
get a
that square.
cupcake.
He
No.
talking about cupcakes because you hungry. That's what you talking about.
I am hungry. I'm shaped like a cupcake.
Fred is neutral tonight.
I'm not walking the line, but I just 100% like, and just for you, and I know you guys are joking, but just saying that is saying what I'm trying to say. It's just like there has to be a side to choose. Like there has to be like, no, we can't give out cupcakes. Cupcakes are not, and I know you don't literally mean cupcakes, but no, we can't give out cupcakes. We can't give out love. We have to be on this end, and then or like oh, we got to be. Oh no, you can't be angry. You have to be. You have to be like. I think I think both exist. I think both is true, and I think that is the Christianity part. Jesus, like I think I can still stand against systemic racism. I could still stand against police brutality, but I could still communicate and love on my neighbor. Meaning, for example, I have like if I know someone personally, a cop person who works in law enforcement and has no type of like I know them personally, I could still effectively not put them in a category of, oh, you police brutality, but I could make an active decision and an active step to make my, like Sheun was saying, which I think is positive and powerful, which is, I don't know who's my law enforcement here. They don't know my face. But I think that is a step to make my face known. This is my family. This is me. I want to have a conversation with you. It doesn't look as, from a visual perspective, as aggressive as a protest from a visual perspective, but I think both could. I think both could get the same result, and I think sometimes we look at it from a visual perspective.
Can get the same result as.
But I know you joking, and I know you trying to build.
I'm just saying. I feel like we only come up with the cupcake part.
No, but you
get that result.
Yeah, but I think the fact that, and I don't know if you're joking on that, so I don't want to get tied into.
Go ahead.
But what I'm just saying is the fact that after what Sheun just explained of his approach and his step in going forward, and the fact that you walked away with just cupcakes.
That's literally all I heard.
Okay, and that's the problem, because it was his what I heard Sheun saying is that I in my way of fighting police brutality is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sheun, is to demonstrate or give a physical action of love. That could be cupcakes to open up the door to be able to have a conversation with someone who's actually working in law enforcement, as opposed to expressing in the social media era with everybody's doing anger about an establishment. I could sit down with an establishment and have a conversation, and they know my name, and I know their name.
I just killed Black Man Fred. Now I know the name of the black man I just killed.
But okay, I'm about to go dark, but I didn't want to go dark. I'm not gonna go dark. But what I'm saying is, I think both exist. See, you may be the person, like your personality and the way you built, the way God designed you.
Don't talk about how I'm built. I'm built like a cake pop. I know it.
You might be the person that needs to protest. You might not be the person that could sit down and have a conversation or give out cupcakes. That's not the way you was designed.
Protest. We know that.
So what I'm saying is, I think both of the coins exist. I don't see why. And again, to Tech's point though, and which I agree with, I think as a body of Christ, I think we have bent too far on the other side of silence and doing nothing. I think that's the problem, is that we didn't have a healthy balance. I think now is the time to reinforce the balance, and more so to our did we use this word on here? Our white brothers and sisters in Christ. I think that is very important to for them and for people who were silent is to take a stance on that end. But I do not think we should do that and totally dismiss the teachings of Christ, which is love in your enemies. I mean, that is blatant and clear cut. Go ahead.
I'll cut Jason off. Go ahead, Jason.
Appreciate it. So, good job, Fred. I agree with you, and I think that you're correct in how you summed up, or what Sheun's trying to say, right, Sheun?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, all right. So, along with that, I was going to say along with the cupcakes, only because he maybe said, along with that approach, I'll call it an approach. Along with that approach, I think one thing that is very clear, at least in my eyes, is that Sheun emphasized this a number of times, and that is that strategy is necessary. Being strategic, planning, being thoughtful, thinking things out and through it should be a priority, and it should come, even in my opinion, before the protest.
Yeah.
You see looters, the looters are strategic. You see the rioters, they're very strategic. You see the police department, they're absolutely strategic about how they're cutting off streets, what they're doing. Everybody, in my opinion, seems to be more strategic than the protesters. And protest is 100% great. I love protest. Protest is awesome. I've protested many times, unfortunately. However, strategy is not like the times that I protested. They worked with the police. There was a route agreed upon that they were able to walk, and yeah, it worked out fine. This is the first time that I've seen. Obviously, this is huge. However, strategy is lacking, and I think that we have to sit back before we react and just go out in the street and start, like he said, acting out in anger. And unfortunately, there is a lot of anger that is pinned up. And this one was different. Unfortunately, this one felt different. Yeah. This one was it just felt it was different. And strategy has to take place along with the gifts and the reaching out. I think that we have to be active in our communities. Evangelism isn't the same. I remember when churches used to go out, shake hands with the neighbors, and go door to door, reach out to the community, have little community parties where they would bring the church outside and put the speakers out and, let people hear, listen, I'm here. We're available for you. That needs to happen. Also, I think that a lot of the police aren't necessarily living in the communities that they patrol. So they're coming in as a foreigner. And I think if you don't understand the people that you're supposed to be protecting, if you don't understand the neighborhood, it's a lot easy to look at them indifferently. It's a lot easy to look at them as less than, because you go and live out somewhere else, in a suburb somewhere, wherever you live, and then you come into a community that you already don't like. Like you're coming in with a certain attitude, a certain, I don't want to say aura, but you're coming in with something on you already. I got to put on this facade. I got to be tough because this is a tough neighborhood. They don't know me. They just see my skin. I'm just a cop. I'm an enemy to them. They're an enemy to me. Like the thought process going into work, I suppose, is already negative. I have to be aggressive. I have to go. I have to show force. I don't trust them. They don't trust. Like it's this psychological warfare from the get-go because I'm going into a foreign land. And that's why it's easy for the military to go overseas and shoot up a whole building full of people. It don't matter. You're an enemy. And when you militarize police, it's hard to tell citizens from, who your enemy are. Right. So I think that there needs to be some type of infrastructure set up on this side from within that we can go in as a whole, as a community, into the city halls, into the meetings and try to act for change collectively. Say, this is what we're willing to do. What happened to neighborhood watches? We could still do that. We don't need police to make a stand in our own communities. We can be an asset to what they've already. It could be a partnership of some sort. But I think that we have to be like, of course, the phones we're supposed to help hold them accountable for their actions. However, I don't even want to go in there. However, we got to do more strategically, where we can have a voice when laws are being made, when we can have a voice when bills are being passed locally, and then from there come together on the larger realm. And of course, the food and whatever, that's cool too. And I think that another way to do that would be not just for the police, but for the community, and then bring the police in, because it could look like you're excluding or picking a side, and you don't want to do that either. I know right now we're it's like everyone's choosing a side, but I think another step would be, I remember being young and having community days where everybody came in, and kids wanted to be police. Kids don't want to be police like that no more.
Yeah, no.
So just changing the narrative and changing the perspective of not only the police, but also the community towards police, I think could be impactful. I don't know, y'all.
I agree, and I guess that is and listen, I could be wrong. I just want to express this thought, and you guys are helping me become a better Christian. But I hear you. But in the words of my brother Chin, who's not here, the thought then becomes that, like, I feel like you look at Jesus Christ. The Pharisees had an oppressive religious system. He didn't go to the Pharisees and say, hey, maybe if I'm nicer to you guys. I mean, freaking Nicodemus said, we know that you are from God. No one can do the things
Did you
that
just say the N-word?
I said,
No, I thought he said Nicodemus. I thought he said.
Okay. He goes and he says, we know that you are from God, because no one can do the things that you do except God sent them. They still killed them. I'm not saying cupcakes are bad. What I'm trying to say is, we've been giving cupcakes for years in hopes that it would do something. Colin Kaepernick said, okay, I'm going to quietly protest. I'm just going to take a knee. Oh, okay, he's trash. SOB. Martin Luther King, no disrespect, I don't mean disrespect when I say he was the king of cupcakes. He was the king of peaceful protest. He was the king of trying to build relationships. They shot him dead. I mean, we have been giving cupcakes to people for years, and the reason why,
make it wrong though.
At some point it makes it wrong if we just, I hate to, but they say insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome. I don't think police officers are our enemies. So even when we say love our enemies, to me it's not a matter of loving our enemies, because police officers aren't our enemies. It is it is the lie that that people believe, because those people believe certain lies, and then those people become police officers. And so, I mean, I think police officers are great people. Just like, there's some police officers who want to be protesting. But
no, there are great people who become police officers, and there are bad people who become police officers.
Right, and
you are not your occupation.
There are probably some police officers that want to be protesting, but just like we got a 9 to 5, their 9 to 5 is this. And they are conflicted. And so I don't think that police are the enemy. My pushback is like, we have been given cupcakes to the system of oppression for years in hopes that somehow they will see us as human. But I feel like we're doing that
real quick
while turning our back on the oppressed.
So what I'm saying is basically this, but is that instead of being angry with the system, that we become a part of the system and start where we are locally. That's the easiest way to get in, but that we become a part of the system and where we could have a bigger voice. And of course, one person, me talking about it alone won't work. But if communities, just like we're protesting, imagine if thousands of people came out, if we could come out on one day, what if we came out in droves to the meetings that happen locally?
Yeah.
What if we came out like that? Right? If we're really upset, then we have to do this is going to go away. Someone's laughing, signing a bill about something else, watching this protest miles away because they're not affected by it. But the way they're going to be affected by it is if we come in just like this to those meetings, if we speak up and out about what's happening, that I think would be a lot more impactful. And as a whole, this is great for the moment, but this moment, just like the other moments before it, will pass.
Yeah. And I think that's the question is Martin Luther King got shot. It's like, go Malcolm X. Is that the goal? It's
but
what
we don't have to be too extreme.
Malcolm X, he was gone too.
Got shot too.
Right, but I'm not saying to be Malcolm X.
I guess my question is, what are you saying, my brother?
I will rarely say this because he's a jerk, but I am agreeing with Jason Blunt. I think that we need to get involved. I agree. If we did more we did more as far as going out in droves to these elections. I didn't even know who's voting my election.
Don't.
I know, Sheun.
Hey,
okay,
I gotta hit this up. Derek Jackson said when Christ got into the altercation, he didn't fight. He used wisdom, and sometimes he fled to a different city. We must follow Christ in his ways. Look, you see Sheun's eyebrows, huh?
He said, "Fled. We must flee."
What was the dude who wanted everybody to go back to Haiti?
Using wisdom. I'm on the wisdom part.
You use wisdom. You
I'm on the wisdom part.
Wisdom. No wisdom.
You got us on wisdom.
I'm good. You good? I guess this could go on. I mean, it's nothing wrong with making cupcakes for. I did like the
He said Chick-fil-A too. I might show up for some
Chick-fil-A cupcakes.
No, so don't make nothing. Don't make anything because I doubt they're going to eat it.
Okay,
what's going on right now? They're not going to eat anything.
Exactly.
Okay, it's not a bad thing. I mean, there's more than what most people.
More than what you doing? Is that what you're gonna say?
I was gonna say most of what I'm doing, but I'm always trying to do the work. You heard me? But going in your local Twitter account is doing. I think what Fred said is true. That we do need to be. Everybody, I think, does need to figure out what they need to be doing. And my rebuke to myself about this whole thing is people need to be focusing on what they need to be doing and not trying to criticize somebody else that's doing the work.
Whoa.
Look in the mirror. Do your own work. Okay, you do your work.
Look at that.
So shoot, I repent. If you want to make cupcakes, do the work. Make cupcakes. Put on your apron that says oppress me. Put on your apron that says oppress me and bake with all your heart. Okay?
That was so passive aggressive.
I'm just saying, you're right. Who am I to tell you, do your thing, bro. We all got to be out here doing the work whenever we can, while we can. Because only God knows what is right. We just foolish men trying to do what we can with what we got. So, we can't be hating on each other's doing the work. So, anything else? Any last comments? I mean,
yeah. Let me just shout out because the comment section is actually they've been going in and talking. So I just want to shout out Natasha.
Hey, what's up?
My brother, he tuned in. Derek Jackson, who always comes in and just starts throwing out the word, which is dope. Frank Pointer came through. I think I saw Brian McGee on. Thanks for tuning in, Brian. Don't know if you're still in, but I appreciate you. And who else we got? I think they really held it down today. Just those four. They was going in and again, Sheun for coming through.
Yes, man. Thank you, Sheun,
for coming through.
Pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Save some cupcakes for your black brothers and sisters.
Sheun just joined. Nah, let's scratch him. He wasn't even on Facebook. I just saw it pop up.
All right, you guys. Pastor Green, anything you want to say?
I'll try to be quick. I was talking to someone that's older than we are, and I asked him, "Is this same feeling that we are experiencing now was the same back then with around the Martin Luther King?" And he said, I think he said in his opinion, the difference is that they everybody kind of was more had one go. Or it was more. It's like everybody's kind of was on the same page, and I think he said now it kind of feel like everybody's kind of had their own opinion and doing their own thing, and kind of what you just alluded to. And I've seen a lot of videos. I don't know if y'all seen a video about the 30-year-old with the 50-year-old and the 16-year-old, and how they were even disagreeing about how to go about it, and even in this conversation here. And I think that's one thing that, like going to Jason's point, we can do better because we are working towards the same goal. I think we get so wrapped up in criticizing what somebody's not doing and how they handle it that nothing gets done because we're sitting there just talking to each other. But I think we just have to just remember that we all against racism. We are trying to work towards the same goal, and it's all about how can we as a whole be effective. And not one way is the answer. There's a lot of ways.
Amen. Amen. Very, very true. Sheun, give me an apron. Let's bake some cakes. I'll be in there right there with you. Don't press me. Okay. I'm just joking. Very true. I'm sorry. I'm just joking. You guys are right. All right. The Disruptive Faith Podcast, we're having an honest and necessary conversation. This helped me. I feel closer to God.
Does he feel closer to you?
Oh my gosh. Apparently I just got bacon with cake. Okay, sorry.
Oh man.
Oh,
shots fired.
Oh my goodness.
I was just in my flesh. I ain't been praying. I just been reading The Root all day. The Root. Just been reading The Root and the Graham.
Did you not call this week talking about do some work?
Amen. Do the work.
And the thing is, you would rather do nothing.
Oh, wow,
man. That head.
Continue to undermine it from your couch on social media.
Hey, that's very true. I'm sorry. That's very true. I receive your rebuke. Not do nothing about him doing the work. But I'm not going. I don't think we should hate on another man doing the work. You out here doing the work. The work is cupcakes. Yeah. Do the cupcakes, right?
Oh, man. Hey, thank you.
I'm not going to be able to live this down, man.
But
that's crazy.
That is a big rebuke and reminder for me. I sometimes criticize people that, but I get caught up in it. And that is, bro, you over here like criticizing somebody else's doing work. Just focus on what you got to do and let them do what they gonna do. God will make it all work out at the end. So give me that apron. Let's get this thing going. Disruptive Faith Podcast. Honest and necessary conversations that need to be had. And so this is another one of those. Follow us, Disruptive Faith Podcast at gmail.com. You can hit us up on Facebook, Instagram. We don't have a Twitter. Maybe Sheun should do the Twitter. He could just argue with people like, that's the thing. Sheun is the one Twitter figures.
I do both. I argue, I implement. There we
Amen.
go.
Arguing the way to go. I think that is it. Join the conversation. Let us know if you enjoy this. If you think this is helpful, share it with someone who you think could benefit from hearing this word. Maybe somebody judging other people for doing the work. Maybe somebody need a good recipe. Whatever it is, share it. You guys be blessed. And hold on. Let me get this button. And we are out. Hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. Let us know your thoughts below in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that bell. Make sure you do so. If you want more conversation like these, go ahead and hit the video. Hope you guys are blessed. See you next time. Also, if you want, you can catch us on Spotify, Apple Music, and wherever you catch fine and great podcasts like these. All right, you take care. Be blessed.